Alright, so tonight's video is about something called the centroid of a triangle, and at this point we've already talked about a circumcenter and we've talked about an incenter. The circumcenter is the point of concurrency of the perpendicular bisectors. The incenter, which we just learned, is the point of concurrency of the angle bisectors. And today we're going to learn about another triangle center called a centroid. And the centroid is going to be the point of concurrency of something called a median. Now, a median is very easy to understand. A median goes from a midpoint, so here's our midpoints of all these segments, to the angle on the opposite side. So for example, from K to A. So that's a median, and we have a distance for it. This median is 6.6 centimeters long. I'm going to adjust my triangle here. I want this, so I'm going to draw my picture just for my picture. You don't need this information, but just so that my picture has exactly 9 centimeters for AK. And I can go ahead and add in the other medians. I can go from J to C and from L to B, and that's what a median is. So here's from J to C, and here is L to B. And the medians are these segments that go from the midpoint of a side through the vertex of its opposite angle. Okay, these could be lines. They don't have to be segments like this, but for our picture, we're just going to use segments. Now, the point that they intersect in is called the centroid. That's this point P right here. And you can see, just like we've previously done, I can move these all around. Now, you notice they don't stay the same length at all. There's not any kind of relationship between how long they are or anything like that. So, get back to where our AK is 9. The thing that I want you to notice is I'm going to start putting some distances on here. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you the distance from A to P. So remember, A to K is 9. So I'm going to go from A to P. I'm just going to highlight it here. So A to P is 6. And this is a property of medians, and this is what you're supposed to learn out of this lesson. So if AK is 9 and AP is 6, how long does that make PK? And hopefully you can see that it's 3. It's exactly 3.00. So what that tells us is that in a triangle, along one of the medians, whatever the length of this entire median is, in this case it's 9, this piece is definitely the longer piece of the median, that is 6, is 2/3, and this little piece up here that's 3 is 1/3. It's interesting, you can also see that this is 2/3, this is 1/3, but this piece that's 1/3 is half of the 2/3, and that should make sense to you because 1/3 is half of 2/3. So the point of all this is that you can look at a picture, identify the medians. The way you'll know it's medians is you'll know these are midpoints. So, for example, these might be marked to let you know that's a midpoint. And then it goes through the opposite angle. That's a median. I'm going to put the rest of the pieces on here. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight BP. So BP is right here. It's 5.0. BL is 7.5. I'm going to put PL right there, 2.49. This is very close to 2.5, which is half of 5. 2.5 plus 5 is 7.5. And I'll go ahead and put CP on there. And I'll show the last part of that, which is PJ. Okay, so what you are supposed to see here, and focus on this one because this is the one that I made a very accurate distance. The rest of these, the computer is rounding these numbers, so you may not see the connection. Just focus on the 3, 6, 9 part right here. From P to K is 3. from A to P is 6. The entire thing is 9. So the smallest piece is half of the bigger piece, and it's a third of the whole thing. We'll take a look at what that looks like. When I divide AP and PK, 6 over 9, I get 0.67, which is 2/3. And I can do that with the rest of them here. So I can do 5 over 7.5, BP over BL, 0.67, and I can do CP over CJ. So this big piece right here, CP, over the whole thing, CJ, comes out to 0.67 again. So 2/3, 2/3, 2/3. Then I'm going to look at the top piece. I'm going to look at the 3 and the 6. So 3 over 6 is 1/2. 2.5, 2.5 over 5 is 5. And 3.6 over 7.2 is also 5. So show my halves, and there we go. And you'll be able to see, I'm going to change these numbers here. Right now it's doing 3 divided by 6 is 0.5. I'm going to move this around like we do all the other ones. And you notice everything on the screen is changing. All the numbers change. What's the only numbers that don't change? You see the only numbers that don't change are the ratios we have here. And that is because this ratio of this being 1/3 and this being 2/3, this is 2/3, this is 1/3, this is 2/3, this is 1/3. Those ratios are going to stay no matter what I do to this triangle. And that's what a centroid is. A centroid is the point of concurrency of the medians of a triangle, and the distance from the centroid to the side is half the distance of the centroid to the angle. The distance from the centroid to the side is 1/3 the distance or length of the median, and the distance from the centroid to the angle is 2/3 of the entire median. So it's just some ratios. You memorize them, the problems become super duper easy. So try to memorize this, and we'll practice it tomorrow.